Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I would like to say how happy I am to be here with you today and to be able to introduce Roberto Caldas, who's coming live to talk to you and to me from Santander. I think that's how you pronounce Roberto, from Spain. And Roberto has been for the past about a month or so cycling through Europe with an amazing project. I hope he can talk a little bit about it, which is the Writing for Suicide Prevention. He's wrapping up this project and took a moment to talk to us today. Today, Roberto will talk about, as you can see on the screen, humanity, nature, and emotional health. Which is part of the Seeds of Knowledge series of lectures. We are so happy to have you here, Roberto. I know you know that. And wanted to just take a brief moment to share with you about who we are. So I'm here to you, talking to you from the Solitude Center for Spiritual Living. I am specifically talking from Nashville, Tennessee in the US, but we opened our virtual doors in April with a group of volunteers, of workers, and the body of foundational members from all over the world. So we have workers from Brazil, from the US, from several countries in Europe, as well as Asia, specifically China. So I'm really excited to be here. The basis of what we do is to discuss about Spiritism and Joanna de Angelis as the foundational literature for our series of discussions so that we can educate and we can serve better. This is something that is quite important to me. I could go on talking for a long time, but I wanted to shift to why you're here today, which is to hear from Roberto. So Roberto Caldas is a CVV volunteer. What is CVV? It is, in Portuguese, Centro de Valorização da Vida, which is the Center for the Value of Life, roughly translated. And he works in various projects, right, Roberto, including MOVE, which is the movement, if I translate, for the ethics for animal treatment. He's also working with RPV, which is a network to protect life. And there's just too many things that he's involved that he'll talk to you more about you more. So with that, we have about an hour or so together. And Roberto, please go ahead and get started. I'm really eager to hear from you today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Special thanks from the bottom of my heart to my friends of Solitude Center for Spiritual Living. It's a great honor to be here to talk about life, to talk about the important things of life in this world. In this way, my friends, with no more time to waste, let's go inside the speech of today, which is a result of thinkings and studies that I've been doing for the past years, during the past years. I'll give you a brief explanation about my work and studies during these years. So feel free to ask me questions at any moment during this speech. I will try to answer. I'm not having the answers and the solutions and the conclusions for all the problems of the world, but I am a volunteer of great goodwill to serve, and I'm honored. I'm very grateful to be here today in order to serve a little bit, to spread some information, some message of hope and peace. Well, I'll give you a very brief explanation about the work that I've been doing during the last years, in order not to praise myself, far from it, but in order to show you, my friends, that it's a beginning of awakening of awareness of myself. And during this process, I've been seeing, understanding so much things about our life that I feel myself with the mandatory mission to talk about it, to offer to you what I've been seeing, working, studying during the last years. So I'm going to share with you. Okay, I've been working at CVV, as my friend Marcia Trajano told, since 2014, which is a helpline in Brazil that works since 1962, spreading emotional support by telephone, via web chat, and it's a kind of service very similar to National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, for example, here in USA. Another work very important to me, which touches my heart very deeply, is along the NGO that is called RPV. It's kind of, in a free translation, Network for Protection of Life. RPV is an NGO that it's located in the south of Brazil, in the province of Santa Catarina, that disseminates information and support, emotional and psychological support for people in need. And this NGO treats the question of suicide prevention in a very holistic way, talking to people about the importance of taking care of the physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, in order not for the good of only themselves, but in order to trigger a chain reaction of solidarity. How does it work? At RPV, we help some people in emotional distress and stimulate these people to do the same with everyone around them, known or unknown people for them, in order not to keep for themselves all the good of the rebalance of emotional health, but to spread it, because so many people around us need emotional support. So these are one of the goals of RPV. I've been working too in an institution that it's called Acolher Viver group. It's a group of friends from Germany, Patricia Rocco, Eugenia Rego, Patricia Toledo, that have the similar mission to RPV: spread information, disseminate, raise awareness about the topic of suicide prevention, both inside the Spiritist movement and outside the Spiritist movement. And the Acolher Viver group is right now, as Marcia Trajano told, running the Riding for Suicide Prevention, which is a project that have the goal to spread information, spread embracement along the way, cycling away. We departed from Bremen in the north of Germany, and we are going all the way to St. Jacobs here in Spain, it will be around 2,000 kilometers, crossing cities, crossing countrysides, talking to people, and the bicycle has a banners of the project that claims attention. People come voluntarily to talk to us about the project, to know more about the suicide prevention, and to chat, to dialogue, to seek for conversation, because the banner has a quote, has a sentence that says, "Hold on, let's talk. Hold on, let's talk. No matter the problem that you are facing in the life, let's talk about it. Let's talk about mental health, spiritual health. Let's talk about togetherness, solidarity, embracement, supporting each other along the way." So it was, until now, so far, 1,500 kilometers of cycling doing this project, with a lot of situations, a lot of conversations, emotionally, deeply conversations about life. And that is wonderful to see that if you give people opportunity to talk about their lives, they talk a lot, which is good, which is very, very good. A lot of situations, a lot of experiences, a lot of pains that I've been hearing along the way. So I will take for sure around 2 or 3 hours speaking about riding for suicide prevention, because it is a source of infinite experience that fills my soul, fills my heart. And I hope I put myself at disposal of spirituality that has filled some hearts and some souls along the way. I've been working too at Instituto Espírita Amigo Germano, Spiritist Institute Amigo Germano from Brazil, which is very important, working with lectures, study groups including talking a lot about Joana de Angelis, our divine psychologist and our divine ecologist. Joana de Angelis has a lot of information, sentences, texts, books about ecology, the connection between our mental health, our spiritual health, with the health of nature, the health of all living creatures in this planet. So, Instituto Espírita Amigo Germano has been offering to me the opportunity to work spreading information that already exists in our Spiritist doctrine about not only emotional health, but the health of everyone who surrounds us, humans or not humans. Nature. We should do this reconnection with nature. And talking about nature in relationship with the life, I've been working too at Movimento, in a free translation, Movement for Animal Spiritist Ethics, which studies and applies and promotes a lot of lives, articles, and contents for social media about the relationship between humans and animals, but talking about the reconfiguration, the urgent reconfiguration of our relationship with nature and animals, in the fauna, flora, and, my friends, all the basis of the work of Movimento is, you know where? On the doctrine spirit. Is on Kardec books, Divaldo Franco, Chico Xavier, and so on. And we from Spiritist movement should pay attention to the study of this material because it's a matter of life. It's a matter of reconnecting us as humankind with nature, a reconnection that is absolutely urgent. There is no necessary to say what's happening with nature, what's happening with animals, what's happening with the forests, and what's happening to us, humankind, in terms of health in this planet. And I've been studying for 3 or 4 months in New Acropolis International Organization. That is a school of philosophy in a practical way, a philosophy that is usable in our day-by-day life, which is very important because New Acropolis offers the basis, the basis of all the thinkings, all the works that I've been doing at CVV, at RPV, Acolher Viver, Instituto Espírita Amigo Germano e Move. What are the goals of this presentation today? Well, we should talk about the urgent need to reach out as many people as possible with information, awareness, as tools, as really tools for personal development and health improvement, stimulating attention, stimulating proactivity, stimulating solidarity, fraternity, brothers, brotherhood in the planet. And last but not least, encouraging everyone to get to know the local networks of psychological, spiritual, and lay support. Everything here is deeply connected, deeply connected. The second goal of this presentation is stimulate the feeling of an important gap, space that exists between two big groups. What are these groups? From one side, people, an immense group of people, of projects around the world that offers help, support, emotional, voluntarily support to people that has no resource to obtain this support. I mean, psychological support, psychiatry support, lay emotional support in institutions like CVV, for example, and make connections, stimulate us to do the connection between this group that offers help and other group, huge, immense group of people who are in need of help in this world today. Much of these people doesn't know that help is available. Much of these people doesn't know where to go in order to take a conversation, to relieve themselves of the problems they are facing in the life. So, this is a very important goal. Every one of us should know at least a little bit. What are the institutions? What are the sources of support next to us or wherever it is in the world that can offer support to somebody that we know? And we always know someone that is right now, at this moment, needing for support. Every one of us. I can say with any trace of doubt. And last but not least, work for reconnection. The main goal of this presentation, work for reconnection with radicalism. Wow, radicalism. Take a moment, Roberto. radicalism of fraternity, radicalism of solidarity, radicalism of paying attention with no limits, one another, taking care one another of us. When we speak of mental health, spiritual health, and this reconnection with total comprehensiveness, as well as fighting against indifference. Because along this way that I've been doing with the project Riding for Suicide Prevention, one word emerged every time, almost in every conversation: indifference. I've been hearing from a lot of people nowadays are indifferent. They were told me this. People, I am suffering, and people are indifferent. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to get a real conversation. Nobody cares about how I am. That's what I've been hearing along this way. So a huge goal for today, keeping in mind the urgent need to fight indifference. And why I mentioned comprehensiveness? Because all of this mix of goals, we should think about these goals, applying all we can do, all our possible in this world, to help, to support everybody. Known people, unknown or unknown people, humans, not humans, nature, flora, forests, animals, because everything is part of this wonderful set of life, this wonderful planet that have been made for almost 4.5 billion years in this universe, in our solar system. The goals are quite huge, but I'm very hopeful that every one of us can carry some seeds of knowledge after this speech. I myself am developing this knowledge in order to try to spread it, in order to serve in one or another way along the path of life that I've been doing. So, in this way, my friends, what's going on Earth? What's going on in our planet? It is urgent for all of us to stop a little bit in our day-by-day running frenetically for life, which is fair. Every one of us have our challenges, personal challenges, both material, financial, spiritual, mental, what is. In this way, what's going on Earth? I'm going to give you a brief overview on different spheres of life in our planet today. First of all, geopolitical situation. Let me explain to you that I am not worried about being at left or right or up and down. My life is projected to serve in the middle of everything. Trying to serve, trying to connect people, trying to support, trying to spread solidarity. So in this way, please don't take this geopolitical situation as a matter of political spectrum. I'm not talking about it. Okay, what is the geopolitical situation in our planet today? Well, millions of war refugees from persecution, ethnic, religious persecution around the world. We can talk of Syria, Ukraine, Afghanistan, Jordan, Yemen. Wow, the list goes on. It's very serious, the situation of our planet today in this way. And another question that implies that have a great influence in this geopolitical situation is the lack of commitment. The lack of commitment with the values that I talked minutes earlier: fraternity, solidarity, with no restrictions, with comprehensiveness. So that's the point today. And the situation for sure is not good. Let's take a brief overview over social situation. We should talk about poverty, homeless, the question of addiction to drugs, the cracks on the system that we've been seeing around the planet, even in countries that are rich, considered rich, for example, here in USA, or I've been passing through the Netherlands, which is a very rich country, but with a lot of questions, a lot of problems, a lot of cracks in the system, both educational system and basic infrastructure system. So all of this make a deep impact in our health as a whole. I hope I can tell you, I hope I can communicate to you all the connections, important connections that we should do here today. So, for example, in social situation, energy supply, it's going to be a huge problem here in Europe because of the drought. In USA, China, Australia, Brazil, Africa is facing problems for decades in infrastructure, in energy supply, in water supply. So the social situation at this moment is really not okay. My friends, economical situation, the impacts, the consequences are spread all over the world. Cost of living is rising, inflation, unemployment, materialism and consumerism. Two points, two questions very, very important for our studies in Spiritism are two huge problems when we talk about economical situation. And all of this making part of a huge system of health and life in our planet. Another point, very important, environmental situation too. Over 200 million people can be considered refugees, climate refugees, around the year 2050. That is an interview that I saw of director of World Bank. We already see people running for their houses, their regions, because of the climate change, because of the events of climate change. I've been listening and seeing with my heart in pain the problem of fires around the world, right here in Spain, Portugal, France, California. And I see a footage of a family in California that is talking to run away as a refugee climate. They are going away. They were given an interview to the television, and they are going away because that region where they live or lived every year suffers with fire in the forests. So we are seeing the climate refugees manifesting themselves today, running from one country to other, from one city to other. And this movement implies heavy losses in emotional strength in these people. Severe drought, lack of water, now in Europe, for example, and for many decades in Africa, in other parts of the world, the lack of water is going to be a point in environmental situation. Well, psychospheric situation. Psychospheric. For those who are not so familiar with this word, psychosphere. Psychosphere is a word very keen to Spiritism. We have atmosphere, air, airspace around the planet, and we have psychosphere, the emotional air space around the planet, that it's filled with our emanations, our emotions during the life, our good vibrations, our not so good vibrations, our good emotions, and our not so light emotions. So, psychospheric situation on the planet today. Well, I should talk about just one number about suicides. According to WHO, around 1 million of people suicide every year in the planet. There is a situation that we cannot keep accepting this situation. We should do whatever we can do to cope, to minimize, to mitigate this situation. That's part of my job. That's part of my work, a huge part of my work. In a way, still in the psychospheric situation, we should think about the situation of psychosphere not only with us here, living creatures in this world, in materia, reincarnated. We must think about psychospheric situation in both sides. Here, where we are living today, and there in the spirituality, because the influence of all the problems that the world is facing today have consequences in both sides of psychosphere. So we can keep in mind that we are living in a relationship between two worlds. Everything we do in this world has some repercussions in the spirituality. Good things that we do here, not so good things that we are doing here. There is another situation, inner situation, our interior situation, our necessity of self-knowledge, our urgent need of balance, mind balance, mental balance, psychological balance, spiritual balance. This is a situation very important because wherever we find people in a situation that is not so good emotionally speaking, it means that this person has the need not only of the support, immediate, urgent support to keep on going in this life, but that people need the support for taking a journey inside themselves in order to rebalance their inner situation. So what I've been seeing along this way: solitude, lack of purpose in life, families not so well balanced, resilience, lack of resistance and resilience, lack of general connection. What should I say about lack of general connection? Is the lack of connection with all these situations that we are talking here. My friends, there is another situation very important that we should talk about, that is the virtual situation. The life is running every day, not only in our day-by-day tasks, but in our virtual world, the social medias, everything that runs in internet has two sides, dualistic speaking. The good side and not so good side, where in internet, in social media, we see every day, and I've been hearing this along this journey, writing for suicide prevention, people complaining about the social media. Whoa, social medias, I only see happiness, I only see vanities, I only see wonderful trips and perfect relationships on social media. In real life, it's not always this way. So there is a situation happening right now in the virtual world that we should pay attention in order to keep going healthy in this life. My friends, the situation of fauna directly connected to environmental situation, we are seeing today endless economic exploitation of billions of our friends' animals, and we can call them our friends because our dear Spiritist doctrine shows us that we have been voyaging, we have been working existentially through the different realms of life. It's so important to pay attention to this. For those who believe in reincarnation, we not only have been reincarnated as humans, we've been doing a long travel through the realms of the vegetal realm, the animal realm. So it's time for us to pay more respect, more fraternity, more comprehensive solidarity with every living creature in the world. Let's exercise a little bit the intersection of causes and effects here, because every situation in these 8 scenarios, different scenarios here, have huge influence on each other, one another. Economical situation and a bad economical situation, unemployment, something like that, have deep impact on my, for example, inner situation, or in my psychospheric situation. Everything is deeply connected. And I hope that this words, this speech today, can show you this character of connectiveness, this relationship that exists between all these spheres. And the logical conclusion that we can take from here, that all those connections must be worked every day in our lives. In every situation in our life, we have to pay attention to the environment, to the cause of animals, to the cause of people who surround us in need of support. We have to pay attention in our geopolitical situation, no matter the country you are, Brazil, Spain, Portugal, Myanmar, Australia, no matter the country, we have to be part of a fraternal solution of every sphere of life that we've been talking about here. There is a lot of intersections. Environmental situation, for example. Think about the refugees, the climate refugees that they should escape from their cities, their regions, their countries because of a flood or severe drought or lack of water, lack of energy, and start a new life in another country with other culture, other language, other situation, other economic situation, other social situation, everything moving, messing the mind of these people that are in this situation of climate refugees. And this is just one example, because we could be here talking about the intersections of causes and effects of these spheres of life during hours, because the relationship is deeply, it's hugely. It's something that we cannot, I think for myself, speaking for myself, I guess we cannot afford to wait any more day to act, to think about it, and to act in order to do our possible to contribute to humanity, to nature, and to emotional health. That's why the title of this speech today, Humanity, Nature, and Emotional Health. How are you? My friends, let me see the time. Yeah, okay. Let's talk a little over connection, disconnection, and reconnection. The crystal clear relationship between the activities. Well, taking myself, and I'm not the good example. I'm just a volunteer that start, metaphorically speaking, yesterday, waking up to the necessity of being someone who think about the collective, think about everyone in the world. But the work that I've been doing the last years, they have shown me the crystal clear connection between these activities. Because, for example, CVV, every week I work for 3 hours talking to people in web chat at CVV and giving space for the people to talk about themselves, to relieve themselves of the anxieties of life, the causes of those anxieties, those emotional disorders that these people manifest during the work at CVV has deeply connections with every one of those life spheres that I've been talking about. Everyone. People feeling themselves emotionally weak because of virtual situation, because of economical situation, because of ethnical or religious situation, because of social situation, because of a relationship in a family that is unbalanced, because the lack of solidarity, because the presence of solitude among the multitudes. So it's a humble example of connection between the works that I've been doing. For example, MOVE, Movement for Animal Ethics in Spiritism. This NGO copes with the question of the extermination of animals, the possibility, the urgent need of reconfiguration of relationships with humans, between humans and not humans in this world, in order to have a comprehensive world of solidarity, fraternity. The more, I should say, radical form of solidarity in this world. In this way, it's not easy to keep going doing this work, because the world today, at least a good part of the people in the world today, doesn't wake up to the necessity of rethink the relationship between humankind and nature, humankind and animals. So this provokes a high price of frustration sometimes in the volunteers of MOVE, for example. So we have to support each other. Let's keep going, go ahead. The solutions won't not happen overnight. Let's keep going. So we have to support each other because of an inner situation. I hope that you are understanding me. Every action, every work in these activities that I've been doing have characteristics that are related to all spheres of life. All spheres of life. RPV, all of this works. That's the reason for the title of our speech today. That need of rethink about our reconnection, our urgent need to do right now, with no more waiting, to do the reconnection with the profound, the deep values of solidarity and fraternity. That's why the title of the speech today. Who are you? Not only how are you. I truly want to know how are you. That's question I've been doing to every person that I met along the way that I've been cycling in riding for suicide prevention. At the end of the conversation, I ask the people, who are you? Are you okay? Not a conventional question, a real question. Who are you? In this way, in this speech today, there is another question very important. Who are you? Who are you in the middle of all these spheres of life? Or I should say, who are you in the middle of all these multiverses? Because sometimes we think that the other spheres of life are kind of multiverses, distant multiverses that I cannot make almost nothing to improve the situation in these multiverses. That's why the importance of this question. Who are you in the world today in relationship with all that spheres of life, all those situations? That's an important question for us to reflect. Another very important question, how are you taking care of yourself in the middle of this mess? How are you taking care of yourself? What are you doing for you, real you? For your spirit, that our Spiritism, our dear Spiritism told us that we never die. Our spirit will live forever. So that's extremely important to ask ourselves, how are we taking care of ourselves? What is our focus when we think about taking care of ourselves? That's a huge question. In this way, another very important question. As you can see, I have a lot of questions because we should stop a little bit and meditate and think about these questions in order to repositionate ourselves, in order to serve, to collaborate, to do something in relation to all the spheres of life, in relation to everyone who surrounds us. In this way, what are you doing to take care of brothers and sisters of our community experience? What is community experience? Well, I've been talking about it. Our community experience is all about living day by day, hour after hour in this world, in different scenarios, different spheres of life that are deeply connected each other. In this way, it is hugely important to think about what are we doing to take care of everyone that is participating of our community experience. In this way, my friends, I give you a brief words from May spirit, which had been inspired Chico Xavier in Brazil in order to psychograph books. May has the answer to our reflection, to our questions here. Let's think about it. May, the brother of the community experience, asks you for sympathy. The needy wait for the help that is made possible to you. The ant begs your protection. The plant asks you for respect. The source waits for you to preserve and defend it. The environment in which you live counts on you in the execution of its duties, so that peace may bless the lives of all. And if you are mindful before the principles of eternal good, you will understand in all situations and in all places that God needs your collaboration and waits for you. May. This is in the book Deus Aguarda, in a free translation, God awaits. God needs our collaboration and are waiting for us to act, to do everything we can do in order to mitigate, to support, to alleviate, to help, to give the bread, the material bread, for those who desperate and need for bread, material bread. God waits for us to give the emotional bread. The emotional bread. The bread of an embracement, a hug. The bread of listening to people who are in emotional distress and needs desperately sometimes to talk about their problems. That is community experience. That is community experience. And my friends, all of us, we cannot be only mere collaborators, mere person who do little things every day in order to help the planet. We can be protagonists. We can make a difference wherever we are. So, in this way, why not think about all these questions that I brought to you today and keep in mind the possibility of being more protagonist and making the protagonism with inclusiveness. Inclusiveness. Out of inclusiveness, there is no salvation. We should think about every day, every thought, every word, every act of our life, every day must be directed in a way of inclusiveness to everyone who surrounds us. We are living under the same roof. The planet Earth is an immense house. We are living in the same house, under the same roof. So, in this way, what is happening in the other room or in the other part of the house that involves pain, sufferance, death, concern us. We should do our best to alleviate, to mitigate the pain, the sufferance in every part of the house. In every part of the house. That's why I've been trying to do. That's why I started to do so early, so late in my life. I started doing all of this yesterday, metaphorically speaking, but the conclusion of the connection of everything in this life is, for me, like discovering the fire, because without this reconnection with everyone, with everybody who surrounds us, there is no way to build a better world. My friends, we are closing to the end. Let me see the time. Oops, the time is almost over. The game is almost over. Why are we talking about connection, disconnection, and reconnection? These three fundamentals, these three principles are very keen to a science that is called ecopsychology. This science told us that we were connected to nature, not anymore, and it's urgent, the reconnection. One of the minds of ecopsychology, Gregory Bateson, has a very interesting words about it. The further our way of thinking deviates from the way nature works, the crazier we become. André Luiz Spirit, from the book Ideal Espírita, Spiritist Ideal in a free translation, says that in all angles of universal life, we find evidence the infinite resources of divine wisdom. As usufructuaries of the universe, let us therefore know that every human action contrary to nature constitutes a path to suffering. Let's take from natural scenarios the indispensable lessons for our life. We've been talking about protagonism, yes? So, protagonism with Christ. For those not so familiar with Spiritism, Spiritism disseminates the necessity of the reconnection, I can say, with the very basic teachings of Christ, in a way, in a very short way. So, what is protagonism with Christ? Emmanuel, the mentor of Chico Xavier, gives us the root of the protagonism that we are talking about here. That kind of protagonism that will fill us with all energy that we need to live our lives, in leaving behind us a track, a good track, a legacy, a track of at least efforts in a way to be a better person, in a way to be someone who thinks not only in ourselves, egoistically speaking, but thinks about all the living creatures on this earth. So in this way, protagonism with Christ, according to Emmanuel, which I agree, is goat with Jesus, is balsam in the sick's ulcer. It's a drop of milk for the helpless child. It's a medicine for the sick. It's a coat for those who shiver with cold. It's help in a home besieged by misfortune. It's assistance to the arms that beg for dignified activity. It is support for animals and protection for nature. The reconnection, the protagonism. Pay attention, my friends, that all these sentences from Emmanuel have directly connection with all the spheres, all the multiverses of life that we've been talking about today. Every phrase. Are you telling the connection, the importance of the message that we are trying to carry out today? Protagonism of each one of us is vital. It's real vital to avoid. To avoid what? Autocide. What is autocide? I don't even know if there is a word in English, autocide, but let's try to explain. It's a kind of homicide, something like that. Protagonism is fundamental to avoid autocide, both collective as society, and in some parts of the world we are in that as human society, and individually preventing, for example, suicide, which is a very grave and urgent situation. Protagonism of each of us is vital to avoid ecocide. This process, unfortunately, is in progress, but there is hope. There is hope. If we wake up now, and think about the connections, all the connections that we spoke today, and think about protagonism with Christ, and think about all the knowledge that other human figures have been teaching to us along the history of humankind. We can avoid ecocide, which is the definitive situation in which environment, animals, flora, fauna are in a situation with no return. In some parts of the planet, there are already some situations like that of no return. But there is hope. There is hope. Every one of us can do it, can do something that will help to mitigate this situation, to avoid this situation. We can support each other. We can make a difference. We can make a better future. In this way, my friends, it's urgent to fight indifference. Indifference, for example, I picked this image along the ride in the Riding for Suicide Prevention project from Acolher Viver group, a bottle of soda just put in the wall near the ocean, and at any moment a wind can blow over the bottle and the bottle will fall in the ocean, and the plastic will do all the cycle of degradation in the oceans and so on. Indifference. I beg your pardon if I am so harsh in the words, but indifference. Why put the bottle in that position? Why not put the bottle in the garbage? In another way, why not give a smile for those who are in a situation, in emotional distress? Why not give a word of wisdom, a word of comfort, a word of goodwill, a word of strength for those people? Why not protect the nature? Why not support for animals? Why not give a coat for those who shiver with cold? Why not do something? Why not do something in order to fight indifference? Well, I'm running out of time, I know. There are a lot of things to talk about yet. For example, life tools to build a better spiritual, mental, and physical health that works in all spheres of life mentioned here. And never forgetting, one can receive, one can give. A lot of tools that we can use here. Psychology, I only quote a few of them because the list is huge, but psychology, psychiatry in order to keep the balance, emotional balance, the fundamentals of eco-psychology, emotional support, working as volunteer and in emotional support groups, practical philosophy in order to self-knowledge, daily physical activities, volunteering. I've been listening in CVV during the dialogue with people that mainly the younger ones, 10, 12, 15 years old. Oh my God, I have no proposal in this life. Volunteering is a wonderful tool to build a better world both outside, both inside. So the world offers to us many, many ways of work voluntarily in several NGOs, several causes around the world. So it's a very good idea. And today, 28th of August, is the International Day of Volunteering. It's an important day for us today, for all of us today. I've been reading about research here in Brazil that says that 57 million people in Brazil do some work weekly, in a weekly basis, voluntarily in some cause of solidarity. And this number has been increasing over the last decade, 3 times of increase. So there is hope, not only in Brazil, all over the world. I know for sure there are a lot of initiatives around the world in order to give solidarity, give fraternity in a practical way. Well, we are just reaching the end of this very humble presentation. I found a very complex way to rebalance the world. Yes, I've been discovering a way to solve all the problems of the world, my friends. And I'm going to explain you this very complex set of formulas, mathematical formulas, right now. Simple, very simple. It's a little joke to say that the way to rebalance the world is actually very easy. This is the equation for every scenario, for every sphere of life, for every multiverse of life, if you want. Love your neighbor as yourself. Do for others what we would like others to do for us. No matter the realm, no matter the situation, just do it. This is the equation, not this one. This one. My friends, I beg your pardon if I was a little bit harsh in some moment. I've been trying to give you what I've been seeing in my life for the last years. And this process is still in progress, and it will be for immortality. And I feel myself with the mandatory mission to talk about it, to talk about all these connections, to talk about all the possibilities we have. All of us have some possibility to do something to rebalance all the situations that we've been talking about here. Every one of us can do something in order to reconnect the world with the very essence of humankind, with the very essence of life, humans, no humans, environment, nature, the divine creation of God. It's time for us to think about it and start to act in this way. Thank you very much. My apologies if something goes wrong, if I were too harsh in some moments, but my heart expressed all the gratitude that fills my soul for serving today here. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Roberto. Our hearts are connected in this desire to serve, desire to truly eradicate indifference in everything we do. So with that, Roberto, would you mind doing a small prayer and we'll close our lecture today. Thank you so much, Roberto.
I thank you. I thank you for the possibility, for the opportunity to serve. Well, my friends, with our hearts full of the energy that comes from God, that comes from the friendly spirituality, let's go thinking about turning this gratitude into something else. Jesus, we kindly ask you to give us the strength, to give us the awareness to be your truly true collaborators in this huge work of regeneration of the world. Master, we are all so feeble, so weak in the moments, but we ask you all the blessing, all the awareness, all the strength to face our individual problems, but not forgetting, Jesus, about the collective problems of the world. We are part of this. Jesus, wake us up for the necessity of comprehensiveness. We have our part to do in this creation. From the bottom of our hearts, we thank you, and we put ourselves at your disposal to do what can be done in order to collaborate with you. Thank you. Amen.